Okay, the next in my series of cheap mic reviews is this one, First Act, endorsed by Adam Levine of Maroon 5. Play First Act, I do. Okay, well, just to let you know, I picked this up. I know that the list price on it's about $30, and I paid about $8, including shipping. So it's not unusual for this to sell for dramatically less than its list price, which is the case for a lot of stuff like this. You probably know that. Now, when I first took it out of the package, I was impressed. It feels nice in the hand. It seems finished to a very high standard. It's heavy. It looks good. Everything is properly shined up. Everything's put together in a way that looks very, very nice. And so I had fairly high expectations for this. Know that I thought that it'd be good. That said, when I plugged it in and tried it, mine was DOA. I'm going to take it apart and check the wiring and see if there's something wrong inside that might explain this, that I can fix myself, because I don't feel like sending something back that's this cheap. But I'll show you something in just a second that will explain a lot of that. Now look at the silk screen ring around there. The head itself is very hard. We're going to unscrew that and have a look at this. And this is where you'll see a familiar friend rear its ugly head from my earlier test. Just a second. There we go. Okay. Now looking at that and comparing to my earlier test, it should be crystal clear that this is the same dynamic element as the Pyle PD MIK1 had. And you remember that mic was very cheap, less than $4 usually. I'm going to pull it out in just a second and show you, but you can look at this and see how once you take that ball off the top, it's incredibly cheap looking inside. So now here we have the Pyle, and if you look now, you see that this on-off switch looks really similar between the two. Unscrew the head off of this one, and we will show you in just a second there. Now the first thing you're going to say is that tape isn't the same color, and it's not. It's pink on the Pyle and it's black on the First Act, but nonetheless there is tape in the same place. If you compare both of them, touch both of them, and kind of poke at those places where the tape wraps around, you can feel the holes in the same place. You can see that there are 10 holes under that foam in this element, just like there were in the First Act. And there's a little bit of difference in spacing there, but for the most part it's clearly the same thing, or if it's not exactly the same thing, it is a close variant. Now with that said, I decided to go to the internet and start looking at this a little more closely. I found that there are two different models of this microphone for sale online. One of them has a longer cutout where the on-off switch is, and the other is the one that I have. So with that being the case, there are at least two variants that could be completely different. There also could be other variants that look the same as this one and aren't exactly the same thing, depending on how they sourced it. I'll show you in just a second. What I thought was initially a big scratch in the finish when I took it out of the box actually turns out to be a label showing the date and location of manufacture. I was pretty surprised to see that on there. At any rate, once I went to the internet, went to Alibaba, started looking around trying to see if I could replicate these mics that I've purchased and see what the actual typical price is for these. Now the first one that I found a definite match for was the Pyle PD MIK1, and I found that these, depending on your quantity, could be purchased for as little as 60 cents each. Now I was shocked at the sub $4 price, but the 60 cents price is just ludicrous. I don't even see how it's possible to make that. But with that being the case, now you can see that the first act mic is basically just the same thing as the plastic pile with a nicer, prettier handle. And so, with that being the case, I wouldn't necessarily recommend this mic, and add to it that mine was DOA, and I definitely would not recommend this mic, especially when for just a little bit more you could get one of the metal bodied pile mics that I actually thought sounded pretty good. At any rate, have a look at these, see what you think, leave comments, and thank you for looking.